It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company Studios here on West 7th Street in Columbia. Be here with you for the next couple of hours talking about sports of local, regional, and national import. So stick around. We're looking forward to it. Hope you are as well. Wade, how's your Tuesday?
Tuesday's off and running, my friend, and looking forward to a good show today. Anytime we get to talk with Chip, today will be a little bit sadder than usual, but anytime we get to talk with Chip, it's still fun. Chris has been a great guest for us, and we're excited about what we got going on. I mean, we are creeping on into the big week of college football coming up this week.
Absolutely. Chris Harris, Mississippi Braves play-by-play announcer, which is to say former Mississippi Braves play-by-play announcer, will be joining us in the next segment. At the top of the hour, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, at Choose Chip, talking a little 100 miles of hate and more hate now.
Ooh, yeah, extra hate.
Extra hate. Extreme hate.
Man, it was
extreme prejudice at this point. Yeah, after Saturday night. But hope springs eternal. It's homecoming week.
Homecoming week, chance to beat one of your former guys, Manny Diaz, coming back to town. So MTSU, as bad as Western was, you can right the ship a little bit with a win over Duke. It'll garner some feel good. Doesn't help you at all, obviously, in conference, but it'll at least garner a little bit of a good vibe to maybe get you back where you need to be.
Absolutely. Again, homecoming week, big week. There's a lot going on over at MTSU this weekend in particular, and Chip will get us up to speed on all of that. We'll talk a little Braves, very little Braves. We'll talk a little Astros, a little Major League Baseball. Also, there was a Monday night football game last night, and I was just glad somebody from Atlanta could score.
What a weird and wild game. I found myself asking myself, why am I watching this? And I still really don't know. I watched basically almost the entire game, and I still have no idea why I've subjected myself to that.
Because of the end?
The end was kind of cool, and it was unusual, and it was
very unusual.
It's unusual for a variety of reasons, but yeah, it was interesting. And now the Eagles got a lot of questions. Yeah, I think the Falcons still got a lot of questions.
Nick Sirianni's got a lot of questions.
Man, yeah, they let one get away big time, and what a wild game for sure.
Yeah.
They haven't won a game in the United States yet. I mean, think about that. It has been tough sledding for the Eagles.
There you go. WNBA schedule tonight. If you are interested in the postseason mix, then you will be paying particular attention to a couple of games tonight because, again, 7 of 8 spots are decided, and tonight can go a long way toward deciding that final one. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show. And again, it is Top 5 Tuesday. In light, not so much of Memphis, Florida State, but maybe more in light of Toledo, Mississippi State, or Northern Illinois, Notre Dame, or some of the other odd outcomes that we've seen here over the first 3 weeks of the college football season. Wade and I will be giving you our top college football upsets. So
I bet I know one that's on the list.
I bet you do too.
I bet I know one.
Yeah. Yeah. Stick around for the final segment as we give you that. That'll be presented, of course, by Mid-South 5 Fitness. So again, college football upsets. Should be fun. That's what we're looking at over the next hour and 55 minutes. Let's go ahead and dive in right now with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Off with volleyball action from last night. Here are your scores. Eagleville defeating Watertown 3-0. Grace Christian Franklin with a 3-0 win versus Columbia Academy. Straight sets for Hickman County over Battle Creek. It was Loretto 3, Lawrence County 0. Spring Hill on top of Marshall County 3-0. Summertown picks up a 3-0 win versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Providence Christian 3-1 versus Franklin Road Academy. Culleoka with a 3-1 win over Santa Fe. Riverdale on top of Stewart's Creek 3-0. It was Middle Tennessee Christian with a 3-0 win versus the Webb School. Kicking it over to girls soccer scores last night. Culleoka, big win over Battle Creek. They put up 10 goals, just one for Battle Creek, 10-1 win for Cully in that one. Clarksville Academy with a 9-0 win versus Ezel Harding. It was Gallatin 2-0 over Greenwood, Kentucky. Giles County goes on the road and draws Huntland. High-scoring affair, 3-3 was your final there. A draw, yes, but a low-scoring draw in this one between Cornersville and Loretto. 0-0.
A no-scoring draw.
No-scoring draw between those two clubs there as White House picks up a 1-0 win versus Macon County. STEM Academy took a page out of Culleoka's playbook. They pick up a 10-1 win over Kip Nashville, and it was Warren County 6, Watertown 2.
Major League Baseball action last night. The Dodgers all over the Braves to close out that series. The Dodgers getting a split with the 9-0 victory. San Diego opens its series at Petco Park against the Houston Astros with a 3-1 victory. We'll talk more about those later in the show. Monday Night Football, again, the Falcons go to Philadelphia and somehow grab a 22-21 victory. We'll be talking more about that one later as well. Tonight's volleyball schedule, 5 o'clock, Santa Fe travels to McEwen. At 5:30, Gallatin is at Valor Collegiate. At 5:45, Columbia Academy hosting Franklin Road Academy. Also, Battleground Academy travels to Middle Tennessee Christian. Grace Christian of Franklin is at Providence Christian. Webb School of Bell Buckle, the Lady Feet, are at University School of Nashville. Again, those are all 5:45 starts. At 6, Community is at Battle Creek. Blackman hosts Oakland. Columbia Central hosting Lincoln County. Stewart's Creek travels to Cookeville. Eagleville is at Culleoka. Perry County goes to Hampshire. Laverne hosts Warren County. Spring Hill is at Lawrence County. Murfreesboro Central goes to Marshall County. Mount Pleasant hosting Lewis County. Loretto goes south of the border, taking on the Rogers Lady Pirates at 6, and White County is at Smyrna. 6:30 start for Rockvale at Siegel. At 7, Loretto is at Athens Bible of Alabama, and no start time available, but Ezel Harding plays at Clarksville Academy sometime today.
Check your local listings on that one there, as we like to say, folks. Girls soccer action for tonight. We get underway at 4:30. McGavick traveling to Antioch. Also at 4:30 will be James Lawson over at Hunters Lane. At 5 p.m. this evening, look for Tullahoma at Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Big district showdown in that matchup. Mount Juliet Christian on the road at Nashville Christian. Merrill Hyde is at Republic. BGA is at University School of Nashville. Hillsboro traveling to Cane Ridge this evening. Good Pasture on the road at Davidson Academy. St. Andrews of Sewanee at Middle Tennessee Christian. That caps our 5 o'clock games. At 5:30 tonight, Ezel Harding at Nashville Christian and Kirkwood over at Springfield. Into 6 o'clock now. All these 6 p.m. kickoffs as Webb School is at Franklin Road Academy. McEwen traveling to Harpeth. Cheatham County over at Hickman County. Valor Collegiate travels to Hume Fogg. Kenwood will welcome Waverly tonight. Lawrence County is going to welcome Zion Christian to town. Cookeville is at Lebanon. It'll be Station Camp at Portland. Riverdale traveling to Rockvale tonight. Henry County at Clarksville Northwest at 6 p.m. Providence Christian at Columbia Academy at 6 p.m. Fairview traveling to Creekwood to close our 6 o'clock window. At 6:30 tonight, a trio of games. Watertown at John Overton. Father Ryan at Brentwood Academy, and Lipscomb Academy at CPA.
At 7 o'clock, Green Hill travels to Blackman. Brentwood hosts Independence. Richland is at Culleoka. Mount Juliet goes to Franklin County. Clarksville is at Hendersonville. Columbia Central travels to Lincoln County. Summit is at Page. Centennial plays at Ravenwood. Siegel hosts Oakland. Shelbyville Central travels to Spring Hill. Smyrna goes to Stewart's Creek. Sycamore hosting Montgomery Central. Dixon County is at West Creek. East Robertson goes to White House Heritage. All of those, again, 7 o'clock starts. Time undetermined for Laverne at Wilson Central. Major League Baseball this evening at 5:40 at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. It's the Atlanta Braves taking on the host Reds. And at you can see that one on Valley Sports South, by the way. And at 8:40, and this one will be televised on True TV. That's a new one. The Houston Astros and the host San Diego Padres continue their series out at Petco Park. The Sounds travel to Norfolk for a 5:35 start Central Time, final regular season series of the year for the Sounds. And in WNBA action, as we mentioned earlier, the New York Liberty is at the Washington Mystics. That's a 6 o'clock tip. You can see it on NBA TV. Also at 6 o'clock, the Minnesota Lynx are at the Connecticut Sun. At 6:30, the Chicago Sky is at the Atlanta Dream. At 9 o'clock on NBA TV, it's the Aces and the Storm. And at 9:30 on CBS Sports Network, it's the Phoenix Mercury traveling to Los Angeles, taking on the Sparks. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you as always by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a to 6 p. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10 at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia. If you are planning to attend the University of Tennessee football games in 2025, you can also expect to pay an extra 10% for your tickets.
At the cash register.
Yes, and pay these prices and pay no more, by the way. But athletics director Danny White announced earlier today, Tennessee will include a 10% talent fee on season tickets and on single game tickets, with the money generated from that going toward revenue sharing for college athletes. So as early as July 1st, 2025, institutions can share revenue with their student athletes according to the university. And so this will be to help defray some of those costs, I guess. Obviously, this is a response to the NIL aspect of college athletics and the House settlement and everything else. But, you know, it's interesting because a guy that I follow on Twitter, Joel Anderson, kind of pointed this out, that, nobody saw the need for talent fees when coaches' salaries were going astronomical, or when you were putting barber shops in locker rooms, or any of the other amenities. And is this an effort to try to create some sort of animosity toward the players by the fans?
I hadn't really thought about it like that. The main thing that I have thought about is, number one, UT is better be glad they're playing as well as they are. I don't know these.
I don't think that would go over.
Derek Dooley era would not have been kind for these, as I'm calling them, the resort fees. Resort fees have now come to college football. And we all know what everybody thinks about resort fees. So, I mean, this is kind of a somewhat subtle, but also somewhat not so subtle way to work in a chance to kind of bolster your NIL, and that's where you don't call it a resort fee. You call it a talent fee. And maybe you feel a little better about, knowing that some of your money is going to go toward Nico's, $8 million NIL earnings, or whatever potentially that number may be. I don't know that it makes me feel a lot better, but at least I could see the way and the phrasing potentially make you feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be an arms race on the up and up. I mean, it's just the new avenue.
Yeah. I think that this is definitely a Tennessee striking while the iron is hot kind of thing.
Seems like it.
But at the same time, Tennessee has kind of been at the forefront of the whole NIL evolution too. So they've got some pretty forward-thinking folks there, it seems.
Yeah, Danny White is obviously a pretty smart guy. He's obviously a very well-paid guy, as we've just recently discussed. I mean, this is kind of the next step of running things. I mean, they just announced, that massive deal with Pilot. I mean, Tennessee is kind of they're milking the fans in some regards. That's one way to look at it for sure. But I mean, in the other regards, is why not be the first to do this? You don't want to be last in this situation and have the whole fan base kind of already have turned on you at that point.
Well, and not only that, but as Joe Rexrow points out in his article on The Athletic, the Tennessee football fan base is a hungry one. It's been 1998 since they won their last national championship. I mean, that meme on social media, "Take my money." And I think UT fans, the most well-heeled of those are kind of in anything to put ourselves in position to play for and win a national championship, we are willing to do. And so if it's cost an extra 10% to get in the gate at Neyland Stadium, if that's what it takes, count me in.
Yeah, sign me up. Inelastic demand curve is what we've got here. A good old-fashioned econ situation, because the Vols know they got a product that everybody wants to see. They're number 6 in the country. They got their biggest game of the season early to this point on the horizon. Who knows where this season goes? But it seems like they're on the upward trend and they're here to stay. So why not strike while the iron's hot? Like you said? And everybody will pay.
And if some of the current ticket holders don't pay, there's somebody else that will.
That line will that waiting queue, from what I remember reading online, was lengthy to say the least. So yeah, you're exactly right. Folks will be still lining up to take their spot.
Sure. So it will be intriguing to see who's next with the talent fee. I
mean, yeah, this seems that this has got to be, or this will be, a situation that everybody's just kind of following suit, especially in the SEC. Like you said, arms race.
Just means more. Let's take a break from the Lee Company Studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we will be joined by, again, Mississippi Braves former play-by-play announcer, Chris Harris. Stay tuned. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Maurice Patton, that's Wade Neely. This is Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We're coming to you from the Lee Company Studios right here on West 7th Street in Columbia, and we are anxiously awaiting the arrival of Chris Harris, who, who knows, might be in an interview right now. I'm not sure. Longtime play-by-play announcer for the Mississippi Braves, the Southern League affiliate of the Atlanta Braves in Class AA ball. It was announced last offseason, I guess it was, that the franchise would be moving from Pearl, Mississippi, which is a Jackson suburb. I didn't realize Jackson was so far south in Mississippi, by the way.
I'm trying to think if I've been there.
I've
driven through it, I guess, maybe, but
yeah. But they are moving from Pearl, Mississippi to Columbus, Georgia for the 2025 season. They've
a little closer to home, per se.
Yeah, and shoot. So their AAA team is Gwinnett, obviously. Their AA team will now be in Columbus. They've got a single A team in Rome, Georgia. So most everybody is right there in Georgia in terms of Atlanta Braves minor league affiliates with this move. But again, clearly, this team has been in the Jackson Pearl area for a pretty good while. I think Chris said 20 plus years maybe. And so obviously it's an emotional move for the folks that have been affiliated with that franchise and with that area. I mean, that's clearly Braves country over there as much as any place else. So,
yeah, I'm just kind of doing some fact finding here and digging them up. And the M Braves, you've got, that's in some regards, it's kind of like we talk about why fan bases in the South root for college football so much, right? Because you get into some of these markets, or even like the XFL with Birmingham, you get into some of these markets and your options are limited in terms of sports franchises at your disposal, and especially in terms of Major League Baseball. When you're talking about Mississippi, this is going to be a sad situation. It is a sad situation anytime, regardless of where they are. Anytime you got a long-time affiliate like that, from 2005 to 24, that is a long time of memories. That will be kind of going by the wayside.
It's tough, and it's tough when when people lose jobs.
Yeah,
and
because think about it, there's been some local folks that have been there since the outset that have worked in some capacity, even as volunteers and stuff. That's the real unfortunate part.
No doubt. So thought we had Chris. We lost Chris. Hopefully we can get Chris in here in the next little bit. But again, it's been a tough time over there. It's been a tough time for the Braves. We'll get into that in the next segment as well. But one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk to him about was what's he got going next, but two, who has he seen here over the last few years that he feels like can make an impact at the major league level for Atlanta that has come through Mississippi here while he's been in the play-by-play booth. So, looking forward to speaking with Chris. Chris, are you with us?
What's up, guys?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Oh, just trying to do a little, I guess, relaxing a little bit after the final game, but it's been a busy couple of days, and just it's kind of hard to believe that after you play 140 games in 152 days or whatever it is, it's kind of weird to not have to get up and go to the ballpark. So it's obviously this year's been a little bit different, especially the last couple of days. There's been a lot of people, reaching out and a lot of different things happening, as this was our last season. So a little bit different this year, but you always try to catch up on some sleep and catch up on life, and a little bit more responsibility this year.
I would imagine, and as a journalist, there's always something else to go to. So when baseball season's over with, we roll into something else. But as a play-by-play announcer, I mean, you're kind of closer to the players and the coaches type paradigm, just from the standpoint that, like you said, you've been rolling all these months, and now it just comes to an abrupt halt. I mean, what? You sleeping in, or what are you doing?
Behind the scenes, yeah, I did. I slept in yesterday a lot. Didn't quite sleep in as much today, but with my job responsibilities, it's honestly the 3 hours of play-by-play a night are sort of the most low key of what my job is. I take care of all of our social media, do all the PR, media relations, do most of our graphics. So there's a lot of different responsibilities, and I'm certainly not cashing it in right now because there's a lot of things I'm working on, some video projects to do some things to close out the franchise, and there's always some things that you want to kind of bookend, or at least dot the T's, cross the T's, dot the I's on your post game notes and things like that. So there's some things that I want to do and continue to do, but usually this time I'm either starting to point towards next season and starting to make my plans for next season, but in this instance there isn't a next season, so it's definitely a lot different. But you're right. I mean, yesterday or Sunday when we closed out the season, all of our players, some of them go back to Florida to the spring training complex to participate in instructional league. Some go to Arizona for the Arizona Fall League, and some just head back to where they're from and begin their off season. So it's kind of a scattering, kind of like in May or June, whenever you get out of school, you kind of scatter to regroup back in August for school. In this instance, they regroup for spring training, in February or March. So yeah, it's definitely weird. It's just you plug away every day, you're grinding, you get through your routine, then boom, it comes to an end.
As quickly as it kind of sneaks up on you. Chris, right before you joined, Mo and I were discussing, kind of just walk us through, if you would, the range of kind of emotions from the local community, and, kind of the impact with the move, kind of that void that will be there now. Kind of what is the status, if you will, of the community with you guys getting ready to pack up?
I think it's kind of like the stages of grief. There's every one of those, and I've always been one that I'm very, very open, wear my emotions on my sleeve. I mean, you have those moments of denial, you have those emotions of anger and just sort of a depression. Then you sort of come to the acceptance, and you have to move forward. And I think that's kind of like the entire community. I think over a 20-year span, and of course I sort of went through this with a team in Jackson, Tennessee. I was there for the final few years, but I was there towards the end of that run. You could sort of see, a franchise who, the attendance had started to lapse a little bit. And, after a period of time, a lot of times it does do that. I mean, you have your certain franchises that are able to not have that happen. But, I'm not saying you saw the writing on the wall. You certainly didn't, because I thought this community still really supported this team. But you started hearing rumblings, the past couple of years that it possibly could happen. And I think, what's really cool was the last 2 days, our last Saturday and Sunday, we had about 10,000 on our last Saturday and Sunday combined, which was phenomenal. I think a lot of people just wanted to experience it one more time. 2005. I mean, think about 2005. Where were we back in 2005? A lot of people were, probably, like kids, and they wanted to come back and experience it one more time. So, while there has been a lot of anger, there's been vitriol. I think towards the end, there was a lot of, I just want to, feel the excitement. I want to see the Braves logo on the field one more time, and I think that was sort of the case. And yeah, and that's one thing too for me. I mean, to be able to see. I mean, there will never be a Braves logo, the actual Atlanta Braves logo, on a jersey for a Braves minor league team. I mean, you go back to the Danville Braves, the Greenville Braves, the Richmond Braves, Macon Braves, when they went to Gwinnett, the Gwinnett Braves, now the Mississippi Braves. There'll never be another Braves logo on the field for the Atlanta Braves. So a lot of nostalgia, a lot of going through old items in our storage closets that we honestly knew never existed.
That was the question I was going to ask too, Chris. What happens to all the merch? Does that get where does that go? Who ends up with that?
That's in the part of Chris's apartment that we can't see on screen right here.
Impromptu storage closet at the moment.
We were able to sell a lot of that stuff at very reasonable prices to people who really wanted to get their hands on that stuff. We gave away a lot of stuff too. The last giveaway night we called it mystery giveaway, and it was literally cleaning out the closet of whatever we could find. I mean, bobbleheads from 2007, jerseys from 2009. I mean, you never knew what you were going to get that day. And then once they got in the stadium, they could barter and trade and create whatever deals they wanted to have. But there were autographed items. I found. We found autographed items from teams back in 2006, 2007, and had to go back and look at Baseball Reference to figure out who some of these, autographs were, because you couldn't read the name, but you could read the number or make out the number. But we were able to, you could get a 2017 autographed bat, which included Ronald Acuna and Max Fried, for $40. We were selling it for that, just so people could get their hands on some stuff. And it was, I tell you what, I came back from that last road trip and the one before this one, and, walked into our office area and things were just pulled down off the wall. And I think that's when it became really real, was, okay, all this stuff in here is now piled up in the floor. And it was, yeah, it hits your feels, man. I'm an emotional guy, so I've been through it, man. There's been some times where I've had to really pause, even during a broadcast, and just, I've only been there for 7 years, but just to know it's a moment. I mean, it's something that's not going to be there anymore. It can be tough.
Chris Harris, former Mississippi Braves play-by-play announcer, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. This team next spring will be the Columbus Clingstones, which is it's a peach. The Clingstones are, and obviously Georgia is the peach state, and so they have really gone all in on that. Columbus, again, will be the Braves AA affiliate in the Southern League, joining the Gwinnett Stripers, 1P at AAA, the Rome Emperors of the Southern Atlantic League in High A, and the Augusta Green Jackets, who actually play in North Augusta, South Carolina. So everybody won't be in Georgia. But 3 of the 4 teams are, and 1 is just across the border. But, that's aside from ripping a team out of its former location where it's been for 20 years, it's an interesting situation for the Atlanta Braves to have their 4 non-rookie league affiliates all within driving distance, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's something that was part of this. I mean, I think I don't know if it was 100%, but I think it was probably 80-90% of one of the main reasons. I think Columbus, obviously, they really made a huge effort, and you got to credit them for putting out $50 million towards improving Golden Park and where they're going to be. I mean, they deserve a ton of credit for that. But for Atlanta to have, I mean, you could be an executive for the Atlanta Braves and you can get to all their affiliates within 3 hours. Helps out for player movement, transactions, rehab assignments. I mean, you not only can look for where two teams are at home to send a guy. You can look at now all your full season minor league teams. So it's a huge. I mean, it's it's an abundance of riches. I mean, look at some of the teams in Major League Baseball that have teams. I remember when I was in Jackson, Tennessee, the Mariners affiliates. You could go to Tacoma, Washington, to Clinton, Iowa, to Adelanto, California, to Jackson, Tennessee. I mean, you had to really circumnavigate the entire country. So for them to have all their affiliates there is huge.
This will be the first minor league team in Columbus since 2008 when the Columbus Mudcats shut things down. I guess they were in the South Atlantic League as well in Class A, but it's a big deal for them. But obviously this is a tough situation, as I was mentioning to Wade before we got you on. People losing jobs, and that's kind of something that I'm a little sensitive to. But what's in the offing for you right now?
Yeah, Mo, I appreciate you. You're a pro and everything, but I consider you a good friend too, and you've been great to me, and certainly what it's like to be in this industry, and you learn that it's a business at the end of the day, and you're part of a corporate structure that not necessarily can be the most warm and fuzzy at times, but yeah, there's for all of our non-leadership positions here in Pearl, we were given an end date, and we're all kind of looking for our next adventure, whatever that might be. And we obviously, everyone has put feelers out and trying to figure out what's next for us. There is some potential news of there is going to be a new Frontier League expansion team coming into Trustmark Park for next year, but I think it's still at a very infancy stage where in the next few months they're going to be trying to fill out, what they want to do here. So, for me, it's a little bit of a, I gotta figure it out pretty quickly. What's next for me in this industry, and for minor league baseball. November, December is sort of the time when there is a lot of movement, but I've talked with our manager a lot. He and I have had some great interactions this year, and we're both faithful individuals, and we always say, God's got our back, and whatever that plan is for us, it's going to be a nice finish to our story. But I'm just so thrilled. Like there were some chances for me to move on from here, to not finish this season, and because there was some tough times. I mean, anytime you're in the last season of a franchise, you're not getting any resources. I mean, you need a new stapler. I'm sorry, you can't have it.
ain't got time for that, or the budget for that.
So
go get you some paper clips.
Yeah. So I'm just darn proud that I was able to finish it, and to, I mean, this is something I'll remember for the rest of my life. The fact that I was able to be a part of this. I mean, I posted it online, or the team did. And, I didn't script the sign off on Sunday, honestly, because we had the quick turnaround from Saturday, Sunday. It was a 1:00 start time. So even if I wanted to, I really didn't have time to write down a script of what I wanted to say to sign off. So I kind of stumbled a bit. I rambled, but, almost broke down a time or two, especially when, I talked about, the ups and downs and things that I've dealt with, and others that I know have dealt with. But, I was proud of the way it finished. And, for every year I go through or anybody I talk to, I can say, hey, look, there were some people here that really dug their feet in. They worked hard to get this thing to the finish line and to give it the proper send off. And I'll always be proud of that.
Yeah, because I mean, you could have easily, knowing what was waiting at the end of this,
Sure,
gone ahead and bailed and covered yourself. And
sure.
the fact that you didn't do that speaks volumes about who you are as a person, and hopefully that will resonate with somebody at some point. Chris Harris, former Mississippi Braves play-by-play announcer, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Chris, I'm sitting here looking at the Frontier League's website, 16 teams, including the Evansville Otters and the Florence Yawls out of Florence, Kentucky, just outside of Cincinnati. And if you've ever been to or through Florence, you'll understand the nickname. But a good contingent of Canadian teams as well, looks like. So might be some interesting road trips there. Is the team that's coming to Jackson, is that going to be an expansion team, or is that a relocation as well? Or what do you know about that?
Yeah, it's for what I know of this team that's coming in. It's going to be an expansion team, and yes, the first thing that I noticed, as well as many others, was there's a lot of teams near Chicago. There's a lot of teams in the Northeast and Canada, but I think for the Frontier League, they want to expand south. Whether that's another team this year, somewhere another southern city, and maybe more so in the near future, adding a southern portion of the Frontier League, I think is something that potentially could happen. With minor league baseball, of course, you remember 4 years ago, they cut 30 teams from minor league baseball. The draft, which was 40 rounds, is just 20 now. So there is a place for really good independent baseball. And I think the Frontier League has a vision of kind of filling that void, as well as, putting some teams in markets. I mean, in the South right now, I'm not saying these are going to have teams, but you have, towns and cities in the South like New Orleans, Freeport, that don't have professional baseball right now. That could be great places. Jackson, Tennessee, has a good facility there as well. That could be potential targets for a Frontier League. So I think there's a lot of room for expansion, and I think that's sort of the goal for this. And I mean, you look at a state like Mississippi that has so much great college baseball: Southern Miss, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, the great JUCOs, the other school. I mean, think of the independent, non-drafted players that you could get, that have those ties, the familiar names, familiar faces. So I think it has the potential of being really interesting here. And of course, their season doesn't start until May, so have the time to be able to host a lot of college and high school games, February, March, April. And I think it has some. I mean, a lot of work's got to be done. I mean, it's going to be different than AA professional baseball, but I think it also has the potential to be really cool.
Off season, what's next for you right now once you get back to the Jackson, Tennessee area?
I'm looking forward to seeing my folks. I'm still a bachelor in this world of professional sports, but my mom and dad are getting up there, and I think anybody that knows me knows how important they are to me. My mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's recently, and I'm looking forward to getting up there and seeing them and kind of taking some of the burden off my dad. And things happen for a reason, and I think gives me a chance to kind of slow down a little bit. I'm still working down here with my friends over at Southern Miss, John Cox, who's been the voice of the Golden Eagles for many years. I always fill in it for him during his football to holiday time. So I'm going with the Southern Miss men's basketball team on a trip to South Dakota and to Montana, I think in November, December. So some nice warm climates.
John didn't want to make that trip, huh?
Hey, I can't say anything because he let me go to Cancun a couple years ago with him. So I can't say anything about that.
Hey, do us a favor. Tell Jet Montgomery we said hey.
I will do
the
it.
freshman guard from Independence. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, be
Yep.
sure and tell Jet we said, hey, before we let you go, who did you see this year in Pearl that we need to know about as Atlanta Braves fans?
Just for the Braves.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know all about Spencer Schwellenbach.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you know, the
We
state
saw
of
Nacho. Obviously, we
Yeah.
know about Drake Baldwin, but was there anybody else that is going to be a mover and a shaker?
You know, there are position player wise, it's tough for me to really pinpoint one person right now. Pitcher wise, you know, I really think there's two guys that you should really keep your eye on, starting pitcher wise. One is Drew Hackenberg. You probably heard that name.
Christian's brother?
It is Christian's brother, one of the 4 Hackenberg brothers that are playing pro sports.
Oh wow!
One's playing in the MLS, one's playing in AAA for the White Sox, and of course Christian, and so that's a pretty good family.
That's
But
impressive.
he had a 16 strikeout game for us this year, and just has some really good stuff. I don't know if he'll make it up, you know, late this season or next year, but I think he's a guy that at the beginning of the year next year would have a chance. Lucas Braun is another guy who, you know, he had 5 double-digit strikeout games for us down the stretch. I think those are 2 starters. Braun, I think, has the potential maybe going to the bullpen too and being a late inning guy, but both have mid-90s fastballs, can touch, you know, 96, 97, and then, you know, have all the other stuff too. I mean, for Braun, he throws for Hackenberg, he throws a 95-mile-an-hour sinker. For Braun, he throws a slider and a splitter along with that good fastball. So those are 2 guys that are in that 22-year-old range that I think could be the next wave.
Awesome. Chris, we appreciate you taking some time with us. Look forward to seeing you when you get back up this way. Wishing you the best in terms of what 2025 on the diamond has to offer for you, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Man, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Chris.
When we continue on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we'll talk a little bit more Braves and some other baseball. Stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. September 17th, 1998, Denny Nagel threw 6 shutout innings. Ozzie Guillen's third inning base hit drove in Tony Graffinino, and Kerry Lightenberg stranded the winning run as Atlanta won 1-0 at Arizona. With the victory, Nagel improved to 15-11, becoming the Braves' 5th 15-game winner. Nagel, John Smoltz, Greg Maddux, Kevin Millwood, and Tom Glavine became the first quintet to each win 15 games since the 1930 Washington Senators accomplished the feat with Bump Hadley, General Crowder, Lloyd Brown, Furpo Marbury, and Sad Sam Jones. That was this day in Braves history. Wade, I know you're familiar with Sad Sam Jones.
You know, enlighten me.
He was one of 5 15-game winners for the 1930 Washington Senators.
I'm learning that now.
Yeah. That's
the
extent of my knowledge on Sad Sam.
These are some all-timers on here. Bump Hadley, General Crowder.
General Crowder.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Nice catch. Dodger time.
I was looking at Furpo Marbury is what made my pen fly out of my hand right there.
Dodgers 9, Braves nothing last night, and I did not watch till the end. It got to the point where it was just unwatchable, especially considering the Braves stranded a leadoff double and a leadoff triple early, while the game was still, undecided. Atlanta went 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position. 9-0 after a 9-2 victory in which the Dodgers scored, 7 runs in the top of the 9th on Sunday night, led to an ugly split of the 4-game series after the Braves won 6-2 and 10-1 in the first 2 games. And again, if somebody had told me Thursday, if somebody had told me Friday during the day, whatever, Braves Dodgers are going to split. So cool. But it's the way you got there.
Yeah.
And it's when you lose 9-2 and 9-0, it sounds crazy to say. Braves could have swept that series.
Yeah, it sounded like it was there for the taking. And
you got great starting pitching in all 4 games. Well, great may be a stretch for last night with Max. The Dodgers scored their first run on a wild pitch. But Max probably had the worst start of the 4. But, I mean, they gave up, I think I saw the starters gave up 4 earned runs in 24 innings. So, I mean, you'll take that and you'll take your chances. This offense, and it struck me in the middle of the night last night for whatever reason. Right now, the Braves offense is like trying to start a fire with wet wood.
Oof, yeah.
I mean, can't do it. There's just too many holes, I think, in this offense. I think that the injuries are finally starting to catch up. They're talking about Ozzie may be back before the end of the regular season, I'm almost not sure it matters. This team, as constructed, is not a playoff team. I mean, all due respect to Ramon Laureano and Gio Ursula and Whit Merrifield and Kevin BGO and and the list goes on. You know, Jared Kelnick. I think Kelnick's the only one that started the season with the Braves out of those that I just named. But I mean, when you are claiming people off waivers and
signing guys off the street, as they like to say.
Yeah, exactly. As they say in football in particular, you know, signing guys off the street, stashing them at AAA and then bringing them up, that kind of thing, you know, that's not a recipe. And a lot of Braves fans obviously got spoiled with the magic that Alex Anthopoulos was able to conjure in 2021 with the Acuna injury and being able to bring in Rosario and Soler and Jock Peterson and cobble something together. But, you know, again, I keep going back to it. And one person's excuse is another person's reason. But when you tell me that a team put its opening day lineup on the field one game, opening day, and hasn't done it again since, you know, that's not a recipe for success.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound like it. And at that point, you're, you know, just happy to be a part of the conversation at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the conversation has gotten kind of old. They go to Cincinnati today for a 5:40 first pitch. Grant Holmes, because Ronaldo Lopez is on the injured list. Grant Holmes getting the start, 2-1 with a 3.79 ERA. Brandon Williamson, no wins or losses, a 2.08 ERA starting for Cincinnati in this one. Again, 5:40. You can see it on Valley Sports South. Houston dropped a 3-1 decision out at San Diego last night, but Luis Arias had a string of 141 consecutive plate appearances without a strikeout snapped by your boy Arrighetti. Yes. So kudos to him. I don't know if he took the loss in that one or not, but
yeah, it took a big old L. And Yu Darvish, after I joked about him, you know, in 2017 getting tuned up by the Astros in the World Series, he got the win. Good win. San Diego is going to be a fun team to watch coming down the stretch. So much of that division, you know, is focused on the Dodgers, but San Diego's probably going to win, you know, 90 plus games easily. Sitting here at 86 and 65 now. So they're going to be fun to watch. And you're right, they got the Arrighetti start. You know, that's one it'd be nice to get, but it doesn't look like it was meant to be. And then tonight you got Hunter Brown going. You know, it's at Petco. Maybe get a chance to get things going. And go back to our rundown. I think it's on True TV tonight, just to get everybody used to. This is going to, some of the playoff games will be on True TV when they have multiple games going.
Okay, so this kind of a dry run to make sure you can find it.
Yeah, I think, it's not like March Madness where everybody wigs out, you know, the first night on Tuesday night when the first four kicks off. You're like, where's True TV?
What the?
Yeah, so you should be good. But, yeah, I think that's why they're trying to just ease everybody in a little bit, getting ready for postseason.
So that here in another couple of weeks or so, it'll still be in your memory when you start scrolling the channels or whatever. Yeah,
that's my theory at least.
Yeah, Arias struck out in the second inning, 9-pitch at bat. Arrighetti got him to go on a curveball on 3-2. Arias said, "I strike out," and I said, "I've got 2 more." What happens? He got hits in each of his final 2. So he scored a run in the 5th and then doubled in the 7th, and apparently banged up his knee on that slide in the 5th, but came out after that. I said Arrighetti was nasty. I fought with him. He's got good stuff. So, you know, nice words for the rookie there. Yeah,
absolutely.
I respect that guy a lot, and what he does is absolutely crazy in the game that we played today, Arrighetti said. It meant a lot to me for sure. Hats off to him, too. He got me on the same pitch. It's not like I can just walk away feeling great. It wasn't an 0 for 3. He still got me. So a lot of respect going back and forth between those two guys, and that's really cool to see in this game. Again, 8:40 tonight out at Petco. Hunter Brown, 11-8 with a 3.59. Michael King getting the ball for San Diego, 12-9 with a 3.06. We're right at the top of the hour, but two things we need to mention. One, if Houston hangs on to the AL West, this will be their 7th straight division championship. It's no small feat.
Yeah, been on, obviously only have the 2 World Series to show for it, but they've been on an impressive run just to even be in the mix as much as they have been.
3 different managers accounting for those 7 championships, by the way, going back to A.J. Hinch to get things started and his interesting departure. The Chicago White Sox, 36-115 coming into tonight's play. They have 11 games left, starting against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. The White Sox need to win 7 of their next 11 to keep from matching the New York Mets.
Fangraphs has them projected at 40.5 wins right now, 40.7 to be exact. I don't know how you get that number, but it only that math don't math, as we like to say, and that puts them only winning the 5. So they're going to be on the short end of that stick. It looks like, unless they get something going in a hurry.
They're going to be right there on the cuffs. Yeah, they've got 2 more. They won last night at Los Angeles, 8-4. They are at the Angels tonight and tomorrow afternoon. Then they go to the Padres for 3. They host the Angels for 3, and they finish up against the Tigers for 3. I don't think there's 7 wins in there.
Doesn't seem like it to me, at least.
Yeah. Stay tuned. We'll let you know. Our number 1 of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we return to the Lee Company studios after this break, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. Stay tuned. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, gets going right now. And no one better to get it going here on this Tuesday than the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, joining us from campus as we turn our attention away from that red debacle from the weekend and toward homecoming. Right? Isn't that the way we're going to do this? If we don't talk about it, then it didn't happen, maybe?
I don't know about that, but I mean, it happened, and there were, obviously the bottom line is what was the final score, but you had a couple of near record performances by Middle offensively, and one of those deals where they put up a ton of yards and came up, really you look back at 2 possessions where they were inside the red zone or the blue zone in this case, and came up short, but and came away with no points, and really kind of changed the complexion of the game, and changed the momentum of the football game. But there were a couple of miscues in special teams that Coach Mason has talked about, and one of the other points of emphasis this week was to improve tackling. Because that's a big deal, but hands off, tip of the hat to Western. They came in, played really well. When TJ Finley got hurt, Caden Veltkamp stepped right in. Nothing changed about their offense, and and it's not like that was the first time he'd ever picked up a football. He had in the bowl game last year after Austin Reed had declared he was going to not get himself hurt and not play in the bowl game, that Veltkamp stepped up and was 38 of 50, and it looked like he looked like he continued right along there. So I don't know what TJ Finley's outcome is after the injury. It didn't look good. He wasn't putting any weight on his right leg, but Veltkamp certainly earned all the kudos coming his way. And I think Western kind of let everybody know that they're back, and right now everybody in Conference USA trying to feel their way through and figure out who is who and who is what. And Liberty may not be quite what they were a year ago. Western may be a little better than they were a year ago. It's there's still a ton of football left to be played, including for just about everybody 7 conference games.
Yeah, Chip, you're talking about Caden Veltkamp. Well, 2 things. Number one, those blue zone, as you aptly put it, turnovers were backbreakers. And that interception, I don't know that I've seen kind of a flukier play as the wideout kind of bobbled it, and DB was just right there, diving to the ground, able to get it. But Mo and I were talking about.
And by the way, the replay on that, Western did a really good job of getting out there and snapping the ball, because television showed the replay a few times after that, and it was kind of not so fast, my friend. That one got some turf. So
that one was going to get overturned then, huh?
I'm not saying that. It might have been, but I think it would have certainly. I'd like to have seen it looked at. I'll just say that.
Mm-hmm. And I was rooting for a safety, holding in the end zone at that point for Western, because they were in there, at least maybe get the momentum back. But on the other end of that, Mo and I were talking, we were going about Finley and the injury. I know this is probably not the case, but at what point does, MTSU, especially the defensive side, say, hey, we weren't really expecting to see this guy at all? And how much of that, if any, was a shock or surprise? Because he goes 27 of 30 for almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Well, and that I think a big part of that is, what Derek talked about is getting receivers on the ground, and they're easy targets when when they run free. The other thing he talked about, and I asked him about, what did it change? And he said it really changed nothing about their offense. And Veltkamp, like I said, he kind of picked up where he left off during the bowl game last year, and he and Finley were in a battle all the way through spring ball and fall camp until Finley was named to the job. And you never know what promises were made when somebody's coming out of the transfer portal, but I would imagine that Veltkamp is going to get the start at least this week, because I'd have a high level of doubt that Finley was going to make it back from a health standpoint. But you never know, and see where it goes. But might be a little Wally Pipp situation in Bowling Green.
Yeah, with a performance like that, I'd say within your right. And Chip, the game kind of gets away from MTSU, obviously. But what do you make of the offense numbers that we saw from MTSU, especially Omari Kelly, who had almost 250 yards receiving with less than 10 catches Saturday night?
Well, what I make of it is you've got to finish drives. And you talk about the two inside the 10-yard line or inside the red zone. I mean, you could make a case that it should have been 14-14 or 21-14 at the worst. And, that changes the complexion of things going into the second half, and you're not having to play catch up quite as much. But, that's, ifs and buts or candy and nuts. You'd all have a Merry Christmas. But what it told me was that they were resilient. They continued to play. Nick Vattiato came up. He was 3 yards shy of Wes Count's single game record of 459 yards against Idaho in a game where Middle scored 72 points. Nick was 3 yards shy of that in a game where you scored 21 points. So that's being efficient with your drives. And Omari Kelly, his 249 yards was 5 yards short of the single game record of D. Mosteller, who had 254 against UT Martin almost 25 years ago. So you had two near record performances. The other thing that came out of that is, they're continuing to find playmakers. Holden Willis had 4 catches, 74 yards. And, that's a good night on any given night within the league. But the Blue Raiders still had an awfully tough time running the football consistently. And, is that because you've got 2 offensive linemen out, 2 offensive line starters, or you've got 2 running backs out? Is the problem defending the intermediate passing game? Is that because the last 2 offenses you faced may be 2 of the better offenses in the entire country? Or is it because you have 2 starting linebackers out who have defended the pass very well in the past? So, Middle has a bit of a mash unit going on right now, and went from being kind of an old starting lineup to a very young starting lineup. And, one of the other oddities in all of this, guys, is that here you are in a game you lose 49-21, and you have 2 guys who make the Pro Football Focus National Team of the Week. Omari Kelly was one of those for the Blue Raiders, and also an offensive lineman, Simon Wilson. They were the guys who graded out the best at their positions in the country by Pro Football Focus. So it was a game that did have some oddities in it, but again, kudos to Western. They came in and brought their A game with them, no question.
Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. WBKO, the ABC affiliate in Bowling Green, is reporting that Western Coach Tyson Hilton says quarterback TJ Finley will be out for, quote, several weeks with a lower leg injury.
Yeah, it had the look of a high ankle sprain or something of that nature. But
defender came down, taking him down with his full body weight onto Finley's leg. According to this, Finley threw one more pass for 22 yards before leaving the game, and the rest is history, basically. So, again, enough about that. I hate losing the Western. What do we take out of that other than finishing drives into homecoming against Duke Saturday?
I think that's it. I think the coaches are going to spin things to their guys. Number one, make corrections where corrections are needed. Probably reevaluate, with what your personnel are, how you handle goal line situations. You always, I've never met a coach that didn't want to, let's be, masculine here and run it between the tackles. Sometimes you got to find a different way to do it. And is it bouncing it outside? Is it putting the ball in, they tried to sneak it once and it was kind of a bumbled snap a little bit, but do you leave it in Vadiato's hands with a run pass option? Do you throw a hot route to a couple of really good receivers you have? There's a lot of different ways you can go about it, and they go back and evaluate themselves every week on that. But I think what you do is continue to, let these guys know that, what they're doing offensively is being productive. You just have to, again, find ways to finish those drives. And I think being more efficient in what you're doing offensively, and also being more sure tacklers, because Duke is going to have some, power 4 type bodies out there on Saturday, and you can't be just bouncing into people and expecting them to go down. You've got to wrap up, get them on the ground, and you're going to also have to be able to make plays in space defensively. So those are things I think that are going to be, things that are going to be points of emphasis getting ready for Duke. And also, if you believe the numbers, Mo, the magic number is 27, because Duke has played 3 games and they have scored exactly 26 points in each of those 3 games.
So there we go. So if we can get to 27, we're good, huh?
They beat Elon, scored 26 on Elon in their home opener. Then they went to Northwestern and won in overtime, and then came from behind against UConn. So, I mean, it's not like they are a pinball machine offensively putting up numbers, but they're going to be solid. And you know that Manny is going to have a good defense, and one that, number one, they will take some chances, which means you will have some opportunities. I mean, that's what Manny has done forever, and I don't see him changing his spots coming into this game with what they want to do, with their defense. And him coming back to a place where he had a lot of success early in his career as a coordinator, he certainly wants his team to play well here, and he's got a couple of other former Blue Raider assistants on his staff. Justin Watts is the tight ends coach there now, and Willie Simmons. And Justin, by the way, was a wide receiver coach and recruiting coordinator under Coach Stockstill. And also you've got Willie Simmons, who has made a few stops since middle, but most recently the head football coach at Florida A&M. He is the running backs coach at Duke. So all guys who were we had a lot of affection for when they were here. Want to wish them all the best of luck for the entire season, except on the night of September 21st.
There we go. Absolutely. Willie Simmons, you mentioned his particular arrival at Duke was, met with a lot of conversation, I guess. I mean, a guy stepping back from a head coaching role to take on a position coaching role at the Power Four level. But yeah, it's yeah, I'm still intrigued by that, and I hope it works the way he wants it to. But
Well, there are always more factors than what is on the surface. If you follow things going on at Florida A&M, doesn't surprise me a bit.
Okay, all right.
So,
Enough said.
yeah.
Again, it is homecoming week, which typically dovetails with Middle Tennessee State's Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. And once again, those will take place Friday night. Marvin Collier going into the Hall of Fame, former Blue Raider gridiron great, Jeff Beecham from the baseball program. And that kind of taps me out, Chip.
Jamari Lattimore, number 2 sack leader of all time, played a long time in the NFL. By the way, who was his defensive coordinator when he played at Middle? Manny Diaz. And so a little homecoming there.
So no pun intended. So will Manny be showing up Friday night? Will Manny be showing up Friday night?
I don't know. I know Manny knows about it, so I don't know whether he's going to. I doubt he will show up for the induction, but I'm pretty sure they will have an opportunity to get together before the game on the field Saturday. But the other two, you've got the all-time leading scorer and rebounder in women's basketball history, in Ebony Rowe, who's going in, a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the all-time winningest men's coach at Middle, Mr. Coach Kermit Davis, will be going in. All I will say is get to the James Union building early. I mean, that's a big room, but there will be limited seating, and this is a very, very, very popular class that is being inducted. And there's been unprecedented questions about no tickets are needed. It's first come, first serve. There will be some tables, reserved for the inductees' families. But as far as friends and followers and all of that, it'll be standing room only Saturday night. And matter of fact, I had a chance to talk to Kermit for about an hour last night and record an interview with him that'll be on my roundtable show in the morning at 9 a.m. And he has a real true affection for Middle, the mid-state area, Murfreesboro, and he says that that's where we raised our kids. He goes, for 16 years we raised our kids there, and he goes, that's always going to be a special place, and we'll always have special friends. So I hope you get a chance to listen to that. It'll be podcasted as well. But, I look forward to all those inductees and their speeches. It's really the Hall of Fame induction ceremony has been terrific. And you think about it, 110 years of athletics, and there's about 180 people before the group going in this week, about 180 out of 110 years. So it's a pretty elite club to be in, and it is not the hall of the okay, it is the hall of the great, and there are 5 greats going in this week.
Chip, I don't know how you could ask, and I don't know what the response would be if anyone ever did, but do you think there's any regret on Kermit's part leaving Middle?
Well, I asked him, and that was right near the end of the interview last night.
That's when you ask it.
Yeah, and I said, take me through the decision process and all of that. And he goes, and he said, Chip, I had to go. He goes, I grew up in it. He goes, I had to find out if I could do it. In that conference and in that level. He goes, and he made a very strong point. He said Middle Tennessee did everything within their power that they could do to keep me and my family and my staff at Middle. He goes, I have no regrets of making the decision. He goes, but he goes, it was just something I felt that I had to do. And I get that 100%.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean,
he was also one other thing he talked about. He goes, I was really honored to have a lot of input on who followed him at Middle. He was a big Nick McDevitt fan. They crossed paths, actually, believe it or not, in Alaska at the top of the world shootout, and Middle ended up beating Nick's Asheville team by 2, and that was when Reggie was playing. So he liked what he saw there, and just kept telling Chris. I said, here's a name you need to look at, and I think Nick and his family have been terrific folks to be around, and I think he's going to have a pretty doggone good team this year. Went to practice the other day, and a matter of fact, I think the winner, as long, and again, the evergreen caveat of as long as they stay healthy, I think both of these basketball teams are going to be really good. And I'm sure you guys may have the opportunity to have Nick and Rick on at some point leading into basketball season and talk about those squads. But they both got some looks like strong teams to me.
When he says I had to go, the opportunity to test yourself at that level and the financial security that comes with trying to do so as well is not to be sneezed at. I was just kind of curious about that.
I never said it to him, but you talk with friends and you what you mentioned with the financial security at his age at that time. He was I'm 61 now, he's 65. So he was about 60 years old at the time, and got a 5-year contract and then had a year added to it, I guess. But basically, the thought was, well, no matter how long this runs, if it runs 5 years or if it goes 10 years, he's basically set up his retirement, along the way. He's still going to do, he says he's going to do some TV this year for the SEC network.
He'll be great.
And also, he's an inside the college basketball guru with our buddy Chris Childers on Sirius XM, and he'll be on there 2 or 3 times a week during college basketball season.
Yeah, he's got the media chops. It seems like dialed in, no matter which avenue that points to.
Yep, I agree. I always told him, I said, don't forget your play-by-play guy from back in the day. I'm more than happy to ride coattails if I need to.
Absolutely. One final note before we get you out of here, Mr. Walters. Women's golf Cardinal Cup team title win. Tell us more. This is their second tournament of the year, and both have been in Kentucky, and this one hosted by the University of Louisville. And you've got new head coach this year, Lauren Walmsley, who came to Middle from Grand Canyon, and they just had a terrific week. And bottom line, every 1 through 5 all played very well, and had a team number of +1 at the end of the week. Brought home a trophy, and that's got to give them a lot of confidence going through the fall schedule. Anytime you can bring home a trophy, it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. MTSU, Duke, Floyd Stadium, 3:00 kick.
Yes, want to remind you that homecoming parade Saturday morning, 10 a.m. They got the mixer on Middle, and then at noon, the party in the Grove will kick off with live music and all the other stuff that goes along with that, and then into the stadium for a 3:00 kick. Of course, on the Blue Raider Network, but also on ESPNU this week.
Broadcast begins when for you?
For us, we'll be at 1:30 to do the math.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, man. Hey, we appreciate it. Can I get up to you Saturday without a pass?
We have very tight security standards.
Yeah, I
Maurice,
understand.
but I think you know who to call that will be able to take care of you on that should you decide you want to come upstairs.
I got a couple of phone numbers.
You got some numbers.
I got some numbers, but I don't know if I want to come up there if I just want to go straight to the beer garden. So
there you go.
We'll see how it goes. Maybe you'll see me, but
Hey, Chip, I will point out there were a few random Western Kentucky jerseys in the beer garden this weekend that I did notice.
We got to do something about that.
Speaking of tight security is what made me think of that. So, yeah, we got to tighten that up. And also, I'm a fan. I don't like the Western Kentucky itself. I do like the mascot, though, but I was a little disappointed. Big Red was vertically challenged, to say the least. We talked about Kyler Murray and Bryce Young on the show yesterday. Big Red was shorter than both of those guys for sure. So I was a little disappointed with the in-person Big Red Saturday night.
Well, I have no comment.
I didn't figure you did. But, yeah, we'll between Mo and myself, we'll maybe tighten up security measures in the beer garden for this weekend and going forward.
Absolutely.
There you go. Good deal.
We appreciate you, man.
And by the way, the weather's going to be terrific. 89 and sunny on Saturday.
Oh, that's conducive to the garden.
That's what you want for beer garden.
Right.
The blue garden.
Chip, we'll talk to you later.
Later.
Thank you, Chip.
Hey, when we continue on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will dive into the grab bag. Stay tuned when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
He shoots, and he scores!
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Let's get into the grab bag. Wade, you said you were riveted to the Atlanta-Philadelphia game last night for reasons still unknown.
Yeah, I still have no idea why I was watching that, because you could tell by about midway through the first quarter that the Eagles were the better-looking, quote-unquote, offense at the time. But you could just tell Kirk Cousins is not – something's still wrong with him in terms of his injury. And I don't know if it was the right move to maybe rush him back for weeks 1 and week 2. But, man, he was a statue back there at times. And so you just got to just make peace with the fact that you're just going to be watching – kind of a weird offensive game. And kind of once I got beyond that, I felt a little bit better. But yeah, it was an interesting game on Monday night. And props to the Falcons, who snatched one at the end. I still have no idea what the Eagles were doing defensively at the end.
You are certainly not alone. Why they threw that ball to Saquon out in the flat for him to not catch it seems to be a point of consternation for a number of folks across the National Football League viewing audience.
Yeah, but it was crazy, right? So I mean, they could have finished it there, and then they elect to kick the field goal. Could have potentially gone for it and ended the game basically right there with a first down or touchdown. And then on the other end, you put zero pressure on Cousins, who's basically a statue. That's what I'm saying. I have no clue what they were doing defensively.
I was watching that last drive, and I was saying, you can not pressure the quarterback, or you cannot cover, but you can't do both. And that's exactly what Philadelphia did right there. I mean, they weren't getting any heat on Cousins, and it was like pitch and catch all the way down the field.
Yeah, super simple for Cousins, who, again, was resorted to statue mode with something's up with his mobility. It's still not all the way back. And so that was a real head scratcher. And that may be one that the Eagles, that division seems like it's going to be pretty competitive, kind of always is. That's one they let get away, and that's a good win for the Falcons to avoid the 0-2 kind of proverbial death sentence right there.
I tell you what, though, I mean, Cousins does like the late game dramatics, heroics, that kind of thing over the course of his career. Whether it's been in Washington or Minnesota, that's been a thing for him. And once again last night, that was the case.
Yeah, come from behind victory. In Philly, everybody was going bonkers. Kelsey having a great time, joining Troy and Joe in the booth. I mean, everything about that was set up for the Eagles to take care of business. Because on that first drive of the night, where they ended up going for it on fourth down and didn't get it. They were absolutely carving the Falcons up. I'm talking blowing them off the ball. You would have thought that Kelsey was back out there instead of being retired because they were just hammering them up front, and then they just kind of went away from it.
I thought it was pretty ironic that during one of Kelsey's conversations in the booth, his successor got flagged for being illegally downfield.
Second time. He got flagged for 2 different ones. Yeah, they had all kind of issues. I come out of this, yes, it's a good win for the Falcons, but I come out of this wondering more about the Eagles than I do about the Falcons after last night because that's kind of a bad loss. The way that it played out.
In terms of the Eagles' defensive philosophy late in that ball game, maybe this will shed some light. Cousins has 51 pass touchdowns against the blitz over the past 5 seasons, according to ESPN.com, which is tied for the most in the league with Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes is third with 47. So maybe Philly was scared to blitz him.
It just felt like, and that very well could be the case, but man, it felt like they were just sitting back, just.
But if you're not, again, if you're not going to pressure him, you got to cover.
Yep.
So
wild game. One thing also is for sure, Kyle Pitts is still on a milk carton. His, you thought maybe with Cousins coming in that they might finally get him going, or now that Arthur Smith's gone, he might be kind of finally free. Man, 3 catches, had 4 targets last night. Mooney was your leading receiver. Also on the other end, the Eagles, depending on how long they're without A.J. Brown, they said, quote, multiple weeks now last night. That is going to be interesting to see how that offense goes forward.
Yeah, because if you don't have A.J. Brown out there to kind of balance things up with Devontae Smith, you got issues.
I mean, have you ever heard of Britton Covey?
I have not.
Have you heard of Grant Calcaterra?
That's too many syllables.
Yeah,
no, I've not.
Jahan Dotson and Johnny Wilson. Those were all targets last night.
Wait a minute, who's the Dotson kid?
Jahan Dotson.
Oh, no. Is he from TCU? I don't know.
Former Penn State receiver. Yeah, I mean,
so
other than Dallas Goedert and Barkley, those are only 2 pass catchers. Well, Devontae Smith, who also dropped a touchdown. I mean, this is kind of an interesting spot for the Eagles. They got a lot of questions.
When you say pass catcher, you use that term loosely. Right?
Loosely, because, Smith, he had one, but he definitely dropped the second one in the end zone.
And obviously Saquon had that drop late that would have kind of sealed things up. So, like you said, tough loss for the Eagles, 22-21 in that one.
And a good win. Final point there, massive win for the Falcons. Because that NFC South is going to be electric this year with the Saints and Bucks looking like world beaters early. So the Falcons at least keeping their name in the mix for now.
Yeah, and obviously the 4th team in that division.
Man, they technically are still a franchise. That is correct. But 0-17 is in play for those guys.
Man. And so, nice segue, Mr. Neely. With Bryce Young officially being demoted in favor of Andy Dalton over in Charlotte, does that make Carolina's trade with the Bears last year to get the number 1 pick, does that make that the worst trade in NFL history, in recent NFL memory? I mean, there have been bad trades, but when you look at what was moved here and what you've gotten out of that, it's not a great look for the Panthers.
No, certainly doesn't. Maybe not in the greatest of all time or worst of all time, the WOT trades, if you will. This one is gaining steam, and here's the thing: it's not done yet.
WOT.
I love the WOT of all time.
Not to be confused with the GOAT.
Darnell Wright, Caleb Williams, Tyreek Stevenson, DJ Moore, and again, still another pick that could
in next year's draft.
That's obviously going to get potentially higher, as bad as the Bears look currently. So. As bad as the Panthers looks. I mean, this is shaping up to be one of the absolute worst. Hasn't fully paid off for the Bears just yet. That one may take 2 or 3 years to actualize for them in terms of, big wins and a big payoff. But as it sits right now, that is a big old woof at the moment.
And it's not just that you gave up all that for the number one pick. You didn't give that up for Bryce Young. You gave that up for the number one pick, and then you exercised the number one pick on Bryce Young.
Yep, and like we discussed on the show yesterday, every game that C.J. Stroud continues to play well, man, that makes it look even worse for the Panthers at this moment. It is rough. But, David Tepper, I mean, he's got a weird relationship with that fan base over there, and they are off the bandwagon, to say the least. And like I said, I don't think they'll slip up and win a game at some point. They won't go 0-17 and set a new level of ineptitude past the lines from 0-16. But they'll slip up and win one, but they ain't gonna be more than two. I don't feel like this year.
Goodness gracious. Adding insult to injury or injury to insult for the Badgers of Wisconsin, not only did they take a 42-10 beating at Camp Randall from Alabama on Saturday, but they lost their starting quarterback, Miami transfer Tyler Van Dyke. Apparently his injury early in that game was a torn anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee. He is done for the year.
Yeah, and mentioned it at the end of our show Friday. Wisconsin's in a weird state of flux right now. They're not your traditional absolutely hammer it and run the ball. Ron Dane is not walking through that door. But at the same time, they're not fully explosive in a 4 and 5 wide set just yet. So Tyler Van Dyke was kind of going to be a nice little bridge there.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, they were never going to win that game even if he stayed healthy all 4 quarters. But having that, makes it really, really tough for them.
NHL news, Sidney Crosby and the Penguins agreed on a 2-year, $17+ million extension. I don't know that he was necessarily going anywhere, but still.
Yeah, maybe potentially one last big payday. Maybe without really having read a lot into it, maybe just a gesture of good faith. One last, hoorah for Sid the Kid. 37 years old.
Yeah,
just turned 37. I mean, he's been doing it a long time because he got started so young.
37. I mean, I'm not enough of a hockey fan to really have a feel. In hockey years, how old is 37?
Kind of depends on the position, right? But they've done a good job over the years of protecting him as much as you can. But I mean, he is a center, and he's got a lot of tread on the tires.
Mm-hmm.
He's got enough though that they're rewarding him here, and I don't think it's just a super courtesy. I mean, he's still giving them a little fair amount. We're not talking prime Sid the Kid anymore. What did he? Well, let's just look at it this way. I mean, he scored 42 goals last year, and his career high was 51 for the Penguins.
Okay.
That came back in 2009-10. So the 42 goals that he has scored is the most he scored since 16-17. So I mean, he's still got some decent gas, which is crazy to think about because he just started so young. His first season in Pittsburgh was all the way back in 2005-6. So I mean, he's been doing this a long time at a high level.
Yeah. The average annual value is the same, $8.7 million per, as his 12-year, $104.4 million contract that he signed back in the summer of 2012. General Manager Kyle Dubas says, Sid is making a tremendous personal sacrifice in an effort to help the Penguins win, both now and in the future, as he has done for his entire career. So he really signed a team-friendly extension when he could have, hit the open market. So, that's a little refreshing to see these days. Average annual value, $8.7 million. What's Sid's jersey number?
87.
When was he born?
Oh, I'm assuming 87.
August 7th.
Man, okay.
So the number, I guess it's a good thing he wasn't born in October.
Yeah.
For the Penguins. But yeah, So cool. The rest of the league has Sidney Crosby to deal with for at least another couple of years.
Still an all-star last year. I just man, he's been impressive, been fun to watch. Not to the same level of LeBron James, but man, pretty close in terms of we saw what he was potentially going to be or could be, and so much hype around him coming in. They were calling him, the next one, and he is
pretty much
done pretty much everything that he's kind of set out to do. So cool to see him kind of get one last big payday.
Yeah. WNBA playoffs are looming. 2 games remaining in the regular season for all 12 teams. 2 have been eliminated from playoff contention. 7 have clinched playoff berths. Chicago, Atlanta, and Washington in the mix for 1 spot. Chicago plays at Atlanta tonight. Washington hosts the Liberty tonight. Who do you think grabs his 8th and final postseason berth? Because they're all tied at 13 and 25 right now.
Yeah, and I've just got the odds pulled up here on ESPN. The Dream are your favorite. The Mystics at 48.9%. The Mystics are at 34.5%. And the Sky are 16.6%. It just feels like the Sky have just totally lost their identity with Angel Reese going out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Give me the Mystics, because a couple weeks ago they were clearly the last team in the East, and they've kind of just picked themselves up off the mat a little bit. So maybe they're riding a little bit of a heater. We talked yesterday that the schedules are all kind of gross for all 3 of these teams, except for the the head-to-head matchup still to come. But I think it'll be a fun little unique way to end the season after all the attention we've given to the star power and the star teams. Now we have a battle at the very end of the season to see who gets the 8th spot.
You know what? I would love to see the Dream do it with former Bradley Central standout Ryan Howard, but with Angel Reese down, Isabel Harrison from Hillsborough has taken on an additional or an expanded role with the Sky, and she has been capable of putting up some nice numbers. And with her and Kennedy Carter, I think the Sky gets it done for the 8th and final spot.
Big showdown between them 2 tonight.
And it's not on TV, is it? I mean, as we were reading through the rundown, I don't think it is.
League Pass, I think.
That's unfortunate.
Which you might be able to get for free at the moment, late in the season. Okay. I think I bought it at the start. I think it's like $9 a month. But the Sky at the Dream, I was trying to see if we could pull the odds real quick here. Because, we talked about it yesterday. I think whoever wins this game is in prime position to get it done and go forward.
And I just don't like the Mystics' chances against the Liberty either. So,
got to feel like they're probably not. Like I said, the Mystics, I'm kind of just pulling for them just because they were squarely in last place a couple nights ago. The Dream are favored by 9.5 in tonight's contest.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be a good one at 6:30, and then we'll reassess tomorrow, I guess, and see kind of where
we are going into Thursday night. Yeah.
Looks everybody in action on Thursday night too. So a good way to close it out. And it's like I said, the fact we've had so many debates and arguments and fun conversations all year about star players and then the star teams, it's kind of cool and kind of refreshing that at the end on the final night we get to see who gets to go in the playoffs and get hammered probably in the first round by somebody.
By the Liberty.
The top 4 will get a bye.
Oh,
so you at least get a little.
The top 4 get a bye. So what is it? 5-8.
I believe that's Let me get your.
That's interesting.
We'll pull up the bracket at some point here because the only reason I know that's because I know the Storm are in a weird spot right now. They're 5th, and Vegas is currently hanging on to that 4 spot to potentially get the bye. Winner of tonight's Sky Dream is not fully guaranteed to qualify. But obviously, as we mentioned, this will give you a massive leg up.
Okay. All right. We are going to forego our final commercial and get straight into Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 fantastic locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Whatever shape it is you're in, Thalys Steel will get you in a better one. Check him out at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. We are on Rapid Fire for Top 5 Tuesdays, our top 5 college football upsets. Wade, go.
Thank goodness, because I don't want to spend any more time talking about this than I have to. Michigan App State. We'll never forget it. And I went to the Michigan-Oregon game the very next week, and they got throttled by Oregon in their house. That was not a pretty time to be a Wolverine fan.
I am a little bit of a recency bias victim here, but I'm going to go Northern Illinois and Notre Dame right out of the box.
Man, that is a good one. That is a good one. Up next for me, Howard versus UNLV in 2017. Cam Newton's brother and Howard as a 45-point underdog. Defeat
Vegas, right?
At Vegas. And again, it's not a great UNLV team,
But
they were a 45-point underdog, the greatest upset in terms of the point spread in college football history.
I was in the press box for this one. Memphis 21,
You stole them.
Tennessee 17
Ooh.
back in 1996 when Fulmer was just bound and determined to run the ball, and Memphis's defense said no.
Wanted to pick that one. Could have picked that one.
Mhm.
Good pull by you. Up next for me, 2007, Stanford versus USC. The second biggest point spread as a 42-point Jim Harbaugh. And maybe, I got to check the counter. Derek Mason may have already still been on the staff then there. But 42 points, they go on the road and beat USC 24-23.
Goodness gracious. I'm going to stay orange here. In 2001, Tennessee 34, Florida 32 for the SEC East Championship. Florida was a 17.5-point favorite in the Swamp.
Rapid fire, another one. Talk about the Vols. This was a massive upset that helped the Vols. 1998. Is that the right year? Kansas State versus Texas A&M. Michael Bishop and company.
Yeah.
Woof. Undefeated and get upset in the Big 12 championship. Caused a lot of moving doors.
It really did. It absolutely created a lot of postseason chaos.
Yes. College football playoff would have been lovely that year, but we were denied.
Oh, without question. I'm going to go at number 4 with Louisiana Monroe 21, Alabama 14 during the 2007 season, Nick Saban's first in Tuscaloosa.
People still talk about Monroe and Saban.
Yeah.
People quick to remind Bama fans about that.
That's what they should.
Bama
fans forget it.
They conveniently let that one slide. But yes, I've got a couple. One will have to suffice as an honorable mention. But give me Boise State versus Oklahoma. It was the Fiesta Bowl, so they were good. It wasn't like Boise State was just a Johnny-come-lately. But they were still a decided underdog in that game, and they win it, in the craziest of fashions, going to overtime over Oklahoma in 2007, kind of like USC and Stanford.
Oklahoma's a 7.5-point favorite in that ball game. Boise
Yes, I'm saying not a
28 to
massive
10.
upset, but it just felt like a huge upset, even though the spread was not that big.
Absolutely. Fifth and final, again, recency bias perhaps, but a little foreshadowing. New Mexico State 31, Auburn 10 last year down at the loveliest village on the plains, and kind of Diego Pavia's coming out party. We won't talk about Diego's last effort. Speaking of upsets.
No, yeah. Georgia State, where you at?
Yeah, right.
Honorable mention real quick for me. Not everybody talks about Carnegie Tech defeating Notre Dame back in 1926. I'm here to bring it up. But yeah, Notre Dame had Newt Rockne. They were considered unbeatable, and Carnegie Tech got them back in 1926.
You were riding for Carnegie right here.
So,
I like it. There we go.
People don't bring that one up enough, I feel like.
Salute to the fighting Carnegies. That is Top 5 Tuesday, again brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Thalys Steel, you can find him at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. He'll get you hooked up. That's going to do it for our Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today. Be sure and come back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We'll see you then.